Okay, parents, let's talk about it. When are you supposed to step in and talk to your gymnast coach about her mental block? This is a really tricky topic because, on one hand, as a parent, you want to be involved. You want to make sure your gymnast is getting the attention and the help that she needs. And on the other hand, you don't want to be that crazy gym mom. I get it. So here are 5 key signs that maybe it's time to step in. First off, number one, if this mental block has been persisting for a while now and you don't see any change in what the coach is doing with your gymnast, there's no plan that's been made or no adjustments made for her, that's a time to step in and ask to meet with the coach. Find out what's going on, make sure the coach is aware of it. Sometimes gymnasts are really sneaky and they're really good at hiding these things from coaches. They don't want to admit that it's happening or they're afraid to speak up. So sometimes coaches don't even notice or they don't realize how bad the mental block is. Some coaches just kind of ride through the mental block too, thinking that, oh, the gymnast will just get her skills back soon. So that's another thing where sometimes coaches do let it go, even if they know what's happening. But if you can see that this is distressing your gymnast and that nothing is being done in the gym to help her, it's time to have a meeting with coach. 2, when your gymnast starts to lose her confidence, and that happens pretty quickly with a mental block, but when you start to notice that she's not excited to go to gym anymore, her confidence seems really low, that's when you know that this mental block is affecting her. That's the time to step in and do something, because if you let it go for too long, her confidence is going to really dip and she's going to be half of the gymnast that she used to be. We're not letting this go for too long, parents. Definitely step in, talk to coach if you're noticing your gymnast's confidence is dipping or her joy is just not there. 3, and this is kind of obvious, if you notice that your gymnast is unsafe. So maybe you can see her constantly bailing on a skill where it's putting her in a position of danger. Maybe she landed on her neck or on her back on the beam. We don't want that happening. Coaches should see this, of course, but again, sometimes they don't notice or they don't realize, or they think it's a one-time kind of a thing. You happen to observe practice and you see that your gymnast looks unsafe, like what she's doing looks scary, like she's not in control. It's definitely a time to have a conversation with coach if there hasn't been one already. Number 4 is a big one. Another time when you should step in and talk to your gymnast coach about her mental block is when you notice that your gymnast is trying to express to her coach what's happening and her coach is kind of dismissive. Gymnastics coaches are notorious for sort of being very authoritarian and, dictating what's going to happen. And often they don't want to hear feedback from gymnasts. It's crazy. There is definitely a shift being made in the gymnastics community. And so hopefully your gymnast is not at a gym like that with a coach who does have that style of coaching. But sometimes gymnasts are really afraid to speak up because in their head, they think that the coach is going to say no or punish them or get mad at them for whatever it is they're asking for or expressing to their coach. So if you notice that your gymnast either has a hard time speaking up and communicating with coach what's happening, or has tried to do that and has been dismissed, or the issue isn't being treated in a serious manner, it's time for you to step in. And now, yes, we want our gymnasts to be able to communicate. We want them to step up. We want them to learn those skills. But depending on the coach, sometimes that's not possible. And sometimes if you have a really shy gymnast, that's also not possible right now. The other thing I want to say about communication is that most gymnasts don't understand what's happening when they have a mental block. And so coaches will often say, "What's wrong? Why didn't you go for it? Why aren't you doing your skill?" Gymnasts respond with, "I don't know." That frustrates coaches so much because coaches kind of think when they hear the "I don't know" answer that maybe this gymnast isn't trying. Maybe she's not motivated. Maybe she doesn't care. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Unfortunately, gymnasts don't understand what's happening, and so they can't give coach any real information because they don't understand it themselves. And that's where there is this miscommunication between coach and gymnast often, that neither one is understanding what's happening, and there's that breakdown. So definitely step in if you feel like gymnast and coach don't have good communication. And number 5, another time to step in is when months have gone by and you don't see any progress with your gymnast. Maybe coach did create a plan and it's just not working, or maybe coach hasn't created a plan, or maybe coach created a plan, gymnast kind of went through it, but coach is now getting impatient because your gymnast is still not doing the skill. And so that happens a lot where coaches at the beginning are very patient. They try to work with your gymnast through the mental block. And then when they don't see results after some time, they start to get upset. And sometimes they take it out on the gymnast because they think that the gymnast is choosing not to do her skill. And so if there's been no progression with your gymnast for months, or you don't see an alternate plan being used, or like a plan that seems like she's progressing in the right direction, then it's also time to sit down and have a conversation with coach. Hopefully this helps you kind of understand the situation. Again, as parents, I know a lot of you are trying to stay out of it. You want the coach to coach. You're trying to just be a parent. And that's most of the time, that's how it should be. But mental blocks are tricky because they are a hard thing for coaches to have to navigate through, as well as gymnasts to have to navigate through. And most often, coaches don't understand mental blocks. And even if they do, every gymnast is different. Every gymnast has different needs for her mental block. And so it's important that you are advocating for your gymnast, speaking up for what you think she needs, and trying to come to a plan or a progression that's going to help your gymnast, one that everyone is on board with, so that you can help your gymnast get the best results possible. That's all I'm going to say about this topic. If you have a gymnast who is struggling through a mental block and it isn't getting better, whether a coach is working with her or not, you feel like she's stuck, definitely reach out. I offer a 3-session mental block jumpstart that gives your gymnast the tools she needs to understand her block and to start moving through it. It's a great way to get her going and to help her jumpstart her progress through her mental block. And if you haven't joined my Facebook group for parents, be sure to do that. I'll leave the link below.